Hey,
Hey, what's going on?
how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I think so. It's a little glitchy, but it's all
Let me
good.
break up. Yeah. All right, cool. Um, so we're with Connor tonight. He's going to be talking about his story. Two-time high school champion in lacrosse and football. Is that right?
Yeah, could have been more, but Corona's cut us short and lost in the state championship this year, but it was a good experience, good run.
And now you're at the University of Arizona
Yeah,
studying business,
yeah, studying
and you are also on the lacrosse team out there.
business.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh, okay, so Connor, I gotta ask you, can you tell the story about the is it a tiger that's in the picture? I need to know about the story. Like you're holding a an animal in
Oh,
the
yeah, the yeah. So I was down in Mexico traveling with my family for one of the spring breaks, and I think I was in Puerto Vallarta, and my brother has like one of his fraternity brothers like was down there as well, and kind of like recommended this zoo where you get to like walk around, and then there's like this kind of like this like you can bet like a or you can pet like a baby tiger or like a black panther, like a lion and stuff like that. And so that was just one of the animals I got to hold, and I mean it was just so great. It was so like I don't I've never experienced something like that, you know?
that's unreal.
Yeah.
Um, what a great experience. Are you a big animal person then? Are you
Yeah.
or was
Oh,
that
yeah.
just
No, I love animals. I always kind of have. I grew up part of my life in Singapore, in Asia. And so I was kind of able to experience kind of like more tropical animals. And so for a while, like, I mean, when I was younger, I just thought riding elephants was normal and like eating mangoes and stuff like that. So kind of exotic animals are pretty cool in my opinion.
so cool? Um, so let's dive into your story a little bit because you were diagnosed with dyslexia early on. Is that right?
Yeah, I
Can
was
you
extremely fortunate to kind of be diagnosed at a young age. I was in kindergarten. I was in California at the time. Well,
okay.
actually, when I lived in Singapore, that's when they actually like raised a because I took I repeated kindergarten. I took it 1 year in Singapore and then 1 year in California. And when I was in Singapore, they kind of like raised an eyebrow a little bit, saying there's like not something 100% there, and like you should probably get him tested. And my parents at the time were like, oh no, he's just young. He's got to go through it himself and got to learn like his own little path and stuff like that. But then in California, that's when bunch of red flags kind of came up again, and so then we got tested, and I was fortunate enough to get diagnosed at a younger age.
What was that like? Did that have challenges, or were you was it like kind of a relief just to know there was something going on?
Yeah, there's definitely challenges. I mean, especially for my parents, because like they've never went through that. I have two older siblings, and so kind of just like the third child, being told he has dyslexia and has a learning disability. I mean, I remember they even told me that like when I got diagnosed, like the people were saying like don't be surprised if he doesn't graduate high school. And like
Oh
that
wow.
was just such like an eye-opening experience for my parents. And I mean, they're the best people in the world. I mean, they've gone like batted for me at every possible opportunity. They've made stuff happen for me, and I mean, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them, honestly.
That's incredible. Yeah, no, we have similar stories in that regard. I was kind of went through the same thing. I was also diagnosed in California too, so kind of
Yeah.
interesting how that played out. But so what were okay? So did you have an IEP then as you were going through
Yeah.
school?
So
And
I was set on a formal IEP, and then I think it was in California. I don't know, but I remember up in Oregon, we kind of went through the process again, and I've been
okay,
tested, I guess, multiple times doing that.
what would you say like your biggest challenge in school is then?
Probably math and reading, I'd say.
Okay,
Just kind of like being able to, I don't know, I guess reading was always kind of like harder for me. But I've had just amazing teachers growing up and an amazing tutor. If you know her, Mary Jo Avery, she's honestly was like my lifesaver right there. And she taught me I would not be here without her either. She's
okay.
an angel.
That's awesome. We always remember the names of those people that have such a positive impact on our lives, which is
Yeah, absolutely.
so. Did you have accommodations then? Like, so can you talk about some of the accommodations maybe you had going through school?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'd say like the biggest accommodation I had was just extra like time on tests.
Okay.
I use that all the time. I'm a very slow test taker, but if you give me my time, I will do well on the tests and just kind of having that. Another one that I used a lot was just like being able to like, have a heads up on like when tests are coming up. Pop quizzes are not my thing. I need a right amount of time just to study and just like go on. So in high school, my accommodation for that was like 5 days notice, because not every class had like a syllabus that would like have the exact date. In college, I kind of found that it's not like that. It's really nice, so they kind of tell you.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that was a really big one as well.
So is that, do you kind of prefer the college format where it's all kind of just laid out there for you then?
Yeah, I like knowing what's kind of ahead so I can plan ahead. It's a little different. This is my freshman year this year, so it's a little different than what I've heard. Apparently, it's not always going to be online. But but yeah, so I'm kind of adapting to it and trying to make do.
Are there any tools or like assisted technology that you use in class or that you found helpful, like that our listeners who are either in high school or maybe thinking about college, going to the next level, like
Mhm.
some of those tools that might be helpful for them to think about?
Yeah, so the biggest one that I use mostly is called Grammarly. I'm sure you've seen ads for it everywhere, but I
Yeah.
actually ended up finding that on my own just through an ad, and I love it just because like grammar is not my thing, and just like having that auto correctiveness is just amazing. And it, like they've kind of like made advancement on their platform into like being able to go onto different like websites. So I use that's a big one for me. Snap and Read's another really good one. Just being able to like have something read it to you. What I'd recommend for high school students, if you have a book, get an Audible subscription. It's like a lifesaver. If you don't want to do that, I know YouTube has a lot of great audiobooks on there that you can kind of like go back and forth to, but just being able to like hear it in your head, but also follow along, like you obtain the information like so much better.
That's awesome. Great advice there. I wanted to before, so I have a couple of areas that I want to dive into because you did some amazing advocacy work while you were in Oregon, and I want to talk about that. But before that, what are some of your strengths in school? Because clearly, like you're determined, you're a go-getter. Like where do you think you're thriving, like within the kind of the education system?
Yeah, I'd say I'm very good at like if there's like a plan or something set in place for you, I'm very good at just plugging into that and just like getting all the help I need because I know at the end of the day it'll help me. It's not gonna like deter me to. So I'm big on like yeah, like you said, like advocating for myself and just like talking to the teachers when I need to, asking for help, and just kind of like just being your own man and just kind of like doing it for yourself because at the end of the day, like you're gonna be able to help yourself more than I guess what other people can because you know what you need. If that makes sense.
Yes, definitely. And but I think what's something that's really cool about your story is that you didn't only just do it for yourself, you started doing it for other students. And that I
Oh
want
yeah.
and I want you to talk about that. Like what was it like being on the student panel? And was that a natural fit and what was that process like? Just being able to kind of share what you've went through and making other people's lives easier.
Yeah. So I don't know, I'm a very social guy. I'm not terribly afraid of like public speaking. And so being on that panel wasn't like extremely terrifying. I'm always willing to share my story if it's able to help someone else. If like and then kind of like I don't know, like I'm always there to like help like people if they need like if it's anywhere to like help other dyslexic students down the road and just to like give teachers more information on like what they could be doing better or just like being able to change like that. Um, like I've advocated for like other students if they're too afraid to like talk to this teacher, I'll go up with them and just kind of like be like kind of like that other person there, so it's not as like serious. But I mean, I've found that like a lot of teachers are legit there to help you, and so like as long as like kids can kind of like implement that or like go, just kind of like just get that in their mindset that the teacher's there to help them. I feel like
Yeah.
that's definitely a better way.
Do you have any advice for students as they approach teachers or even just how they could start thinking about approaching teachers?
Yeah, so like what I always did at the beginning of the year is just go up to your teacher, have a conversation, introduce yourself because then you have that more familiar face. And if you establish it right away, they know your face and they know like you're gonna need more extra help and in some ways they may grade your papers a little bit easier. They may kind of be more understanding of it. And so it's definitely worthwhile to go at like the first week of school or second week of school, say hi, introduce yourself, tell them about your accommodations, tell them about your IEP, whatever it may be, just because then it just makes your life so much easier.
And then, so I want to, because you're told you're not graduating high school.
Yeah.
You're now in college. You're playing a sport in the Division 1 Pac-12. Like, what is that? What is that like for you as just an accomplishment in itself?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like it's a huge accomplishment just because like not everyone can kind of like get to a school like where I'm at, especially with having a learning disability. Again, like I said, I'm very fortunate to be grow up the way I did and have like the support system I had. But no, like it's a great feeling to have a plan and then have the plan go through, if that makes sense, and have
Yeah,
everything kind of like work out.
absolutely. And then, how long have you been in school so far? Like, how long have you been taking classes?
So this is actually my second week in class right now. So I'm on going on to that. Still pretty new.
Yeah, definitely. What are any takeaways or like advice? I think people just kind of, even teachers or people that are talking to their students about being at the college level might be curious about what it's like to be in college. I know it's only been 2 weeks, but could you offer any insights to what it's been like for you?
Yeah, so I'll start with like the main reason I chose University of Arizona is just because they have the Salt Center. And if you don't know what that is, it's like it's a place to help like kids with dyslexia or other learning disabilities, and just like help them, I guess, like get through high school, get the help they need, the tutoring, make sure their accommodations are kind of set in place, and just like kind of be another case manager, if you will.
Yeah,
And so, I mean, they've been super helpful. It's a little bit harder because it's online, so I'm not able to like go to the building, but I'm able to set up Zoom calls and kind of just get all that. And it's just been super helpful doing that.
that's awesome. So for those out there, there are programs, there are ways to get the support that you've gotten through in high school or maybe earlier on, and that can continue on to college, and we can make successful students with people that have dyslexia or other learning challenges. So
Yeah, absolutely. You can do it just as much as any other kid can.
that's awesome. So inspiring. So okay, so I always leave this to the guest, but if you had a message to the students out there or the parents out there or educators, what would it be? And what would you want them to know?
What I always kind of tell myself is like, whenever like life's down, it's a hard assignment, I can't figure it out. Just know life will move on. Like it's not the end of the world. Just like grind through it. For me, I always took double the time what it would for a normal student. So if a teacher says it only takes 30 minutes, I know it's going to take an hour. Just got to put your head down, grind through it, learn the material because you can do it. Don't give up on yourself. Is pretty much the big message.
That's brilliant. Well, I know you got a busy night ahead of you, and we appreciate you taking some time to talk with us here at the International Dyslexia Association Oregon branch. And we wish you all the best. We're totally rooting for you, and you have so many positive comments. Go Connor! Everyone here is just a fan, and we appreciate all you've done for the Oregon community, and just continue to crush it out there when we're behind you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Have a good night.
You too.